You've been so great. Please don't let me down now, and don't tell anyone from Wednesday if you meet somebody, but you've been really good. I'm the last act. I love it. I get to play you out. So, as you are aware by now, the theme is work. When we, actually Denice and Josef came up with that, and, you know, I was just like, sure, work. I can do that. I can work with it. But then, it turns out, as a queer feminist anarchist in a capitalist society, you don't find work that funny. So while this will conclude the political part of my set, it really doesn't get me anywhere with the theme. So then I thought, you know, it would be really fun. It would be fun if this were my work, if I did stand up for a living. And then I thought, you know, I'd just send in an audition tape to Stephen Colbert and The Late Show, because they have comedians on Fridays. And of course they couldn't resist shipping in from Austria the lipstick lesbian with the butch haircut who has a solid, now 18 minutes of stand-up under her belt. But as you know, fantasies never really turn out the way you want them to. So, you know, I'd get to New York and do the show and be like, you know, deliver this kind of borderline awesome set to an audience of like 1,000, but I wouldn't care about any of that. Because it turns out the same night I'm doing this, they're taping interviews with Kate Blanchett and Kristen Stewart, because they're there promoting Carol 2. Lesbians in the audience. So in case you don't know that movie, whoever now didn't laugh, I'll give you a quick rundown. Carol is filmed by Todd Haynes. It's about a lesbian love story set in the 50s, a book by Patricia Highsmith, and every lesbian has seen it. And also every lesbian agrees that it's kind of a lukewarm excuse for a love story, except all the lesbians with mommy issues. They all loved it. They all thought it was the best movie ever. Wait for it. The mother of all lesbian movies ever. They stopped watching lesbian movies after that. And I am one of those lesbians. Am I making you uncomfortable? Half of you probably feel busted at this moment, but don't worry. You're probably just using your baby voice now and then, and that's really not mommy issues. That's just being in a relationship and trying to get your way. Mommy issues is an entirely different beast. But I want to stress that there's no shame in that, because, you know, it's not your fault. Your mommy didn't love you, so there's nothing wrong with a little compensating. In Carol 2, Carol and her lover, the young one, they suffered what 90s lesbian culture called the lesbian bed death. Oh, there you are. Hi. Today you probably would call it something like freedom from heteronormative sex pressure or something. I do get though that it was a concept that kind of came up in the 90s, because like being out as a lesbian couple and just, you know, walking about was so fresh at that point that you kind of still had to fight that notion that you were just best friends, and sex was just a really good way to do that. So, hence the lesbian bed death. So, Carol and the other one, they're having this kind of like trying to rekindle their comatose romance over, well, I don't know, a plate of, shared plate of creamed spinach over poached eggs or something. But it kind of all goes to shit, and then Carol lands in the arms of this young poet played by Kristen Stewart. I won't spoil the ending because I didn't want to come up with one. So this is Carol too, they're promoting it, and of course after I delivered my killer set, basically kind of in my head flipped the audience the bird and just run backstage to find Kate Blanchett's dressing room to see her there, but when I get there, alas, she's gone. And So yeah, very broken-heartedly, I kind of stumbled into the hallway where I fortunately run into Kristen Stewart. And she, very nice of her, she takes me to her dressing room and kind of consoles me, and you know, we talk about philosophical things, and, like how they couldn't come up with a story for Carol too, because no lesbian usually makes it through the ending of a movie alive. And we also talked about how mommy issues and the significance of them really are the fabric of the queer lesbian scene. And it kind of makes me feel weird because usually nobody ever agrees with me on that, and she's like, yeah. Just so right, dude. Like, totally, man. It's such a bad Kristen Stewart. But shut up, it's my fantasy. So, okay. But since nobody ever agrees with me on that, I'm like, and I realized that in that very sweet moment we have, like, I'm her mommy issues, and like everything. Very sympathetic people here. Yeah. So it kind of takes this really dark turn into this kind of lesbian horror movie where you're already so old that you would attract younger girls with mommy issues, but you haven't gotten over yours yet. So I kind of talk to my girlfriend, I'm like backing out of the dressing room, like, no, I haven't gotten over mine yet. And I bump into a person, and from behind me I hear this deep voice say, "What have you not gotten over yet, dear?" And I turn around and, oh, there she is. Larger than life. And from my lips falls, like a rose petal would onto snow, one word. Carol. Yes, she says, yes, it's me. So she takes me to her dressing room, and she closes the door. She confesses to me that every film star has this kind of secret fantasy to be confused with their most iconic role. She sits down, and she's like, oh, your set was so wonderful. All the things you said about lesbianism, so funny and so true. And she kind of wants me to do my set for her in the dressing room, just for her. But in my fantasy, I didn't write my thesis on comedy for nothing, so I know that's not gonna work. Like, you know, you write a set for an audience of 1,000 in a theater. She's no audience of 1,000. It's a dressing room. Everything's gonna, like, no joke's gonna work. It's gonna get all weird. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. But she kind of, you know, pressures things. She's like, no, please do, please. And I tried to wiggle out of it, and then, you know, she tilts her head a little to the side, and she says, hey, please, I so want to hear it. In this baby voice. And I know you might say, so that's fine, you know, it's a baby voice, you're just trying to get what you want, but it's Kate Blanchett. I mean, she's killing it. She basically disappears into the character. It's confusing, because now I don't know, do I want to kiss her or feed her squashed bananas? So at that point I just break, like I make a run for it, run out of the dressing room, into the hall where Kristen Stewart's standing in the doorway, very self-conscious, like, dude. Out of the backstage area, out of the Sullivan Theater, onto the streets of New York. And all the while I'm thinking, man, I'm so glad this is what I do for a living, because this will make an awesome set. Thank you. Now I want to introduce back to the stage my equally important co-hosts. Here's Josef and Denice for you. Give up.
Do it again. Yeah. Hey, your guys are awesome. Thank you so much for making your dream come true. Yeah, no, but haven't we for like ages now in Vienna like been longing for a space where we can laugh our asses off to something that we can identify with? I think I'm gonna get like on the shit pot for this. Shit pot, that's not a word. But I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. But I met like a big Austrian cabaretist a couple of days ago, and he got a little jealous about our club, and he was like, oh, your video is so awesome and your club is so awesome, and I like, what do I have to do to like come and perform at your club? And I said, yeah, not being hetero. And then he looked at me, he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, no space for you. There is a lot of spaces in Vienna already for you, so there's no space for you in our club, because this is ours. This is yours, and this is ours, and this is what we share.